So where do we go after Milgram? So, you just finished with your first essay and you're wondering what's next. And then you started reading about Stanley Milgram and all the funness that entails. Now, I know it seems we're focusing on evil scientists, and I don't want it to sound like I think all scientists are evil, but there's been enough of them who have been. So that is what we're going to write about. For our next essay, the Exploratory Analysis, after studying the readings on the Milgram experiment, I want to know, where else does this kind of stuff happen? Where else is there what we would now consider ethically iffy methods used in experiments? And was the use of such methods worth the resulting insights? Now, I'm not trying to get you to hold past experiments to contemporary standards, because a lot of these experiments, like the Milgram experiment, are the reason we have ethical standards nowadays, so it's kind of hard to hold them to the standards that they helped define. But it's still a question worth asking. How far is too far? How much do the means justify the ends? Or the ends justify the means? I always get that one confused. So, for this essay, you will find another scientific experiment study which provided real insight through inappropriate means and examine the conflict between ethics and outcomes. You can choose any experiment you wish, pending instructor approval, except the Milgram experiment or the Stanford Prison experiment, both of which are being covered in class. Your research must include work on both the study in question and on ethics, which is your interpretive lens for this essay. The assignment sheet goes on in some detail about the kind of questions you should ask. I give an example of a possible working thesis. The successful essay will move beyond recounting the events of the experiment in search of an understanding of the intersection of knowledge and ethics. In other words, I don't want to just hear about the assignment. I want you to be making an argument about your specific experiment and what that teaches us about ethics. By all means, make sure you check your class's specific course documents for dates and such. Even if you're in the class I'm making this for right now, stuff might change between now and the time of making this video. As I said, we're doing Milgram in class, so you can't do that. Stanford Prison experiment is one that people would love to do, but we're also doing that in class, so you can't do that. And if you are thinking, hey, how can I find an unethical experiment? Do a simple Google search and you'll find tons of them. A Google search will pull up very quickly online psychology degree guides, 20 most unethical experiments in psychology, and you'll see a bunch of similar kind of sites that will give you any number of possibilities. You're not going to be wanting for lack of unethical experiments. And in terms of the ethics is a prime component of this essay, not just describing the experiment, but understanding and engaging with ethics in all of its glory. And that's why we have several videos about ethics that you need to be watching. You also need to engage in the specific language and terminology of ethics, which is another reason we have these videos, because they give you things like rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness. And these are terms that need to show up in your analysis of the specific unethical experiment. Keep in mind a couple things. One, simple answers aren't going to be good because these aren't simple questions. The experiments weren't simple. The ethical issues that pop up aren't simple. If we're talking about Milgram, remember there were legitimate reasons to want to study authority and the role authority figures had in promoting certain behavior. And there are legitimate questions over how ethically did they construct the experiment. Dealing with the complexity is going to be something that good essays do. Ignoring the complexity or just washing over it are going to be something bad essays do. You will also need to make sure you cover your subject in a certain amount of depth. Don't give me a superficial reading. Anyone who's heard about the Milgram experiment in a 3-minute video could make some kind of an argument, but dealing with the specifics and the nuances will show that you're engaging in the subject in more depth. And the same thing with the application of ethics. When you're talking about ethics, don't go simplistic on ethics. There's a lot of complexity. It's why we have multiple videos about ethics. As you work, if you have questions, hit me up via Remind, and I'm more than happy to answer whatever questions you have and help you find a good topic. You'll have a pre-writing exercise coming up soon, and I will see you then. Bye.